Husker Nation. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We are two average guys. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, man, that was a tough loss yesterday.
Sure was. Tougher even being there. We don't have much of a voice because we were screaming. Along with, what was the total, 87,000 plus of our closest fans.
Yeah.
It's the Michigan fans that were annoying around us.
Oh, God. So we were at the game yesterday. We rarely get to a game. I get to maybe one a year if I'm lucky.
It's been a few years since
what's up, Jason? It was nice to be at the game, and I'll tell you, I want to start off just by talking about the atmosphere at the game. I have never, I'm 34 years old, and I've been to quite a few Husker games, but I have never been to the stadium that packed for 4 quarters and that loud for 4 quarters every single play on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think we sat down other than the timeouts, TV timeouts, and other timeouts, commercials,
Injuries.
which there were a lot, injuries, and then some of the offense.
Maybe a little bit of kickoffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and some of the offense, but that was a loud game. That was a game that, you talk about atmosphere in college football, that was it. I mean, that's the definition of a good and fun atmosphere in college football.
For sure. Even down to, it's never taken so long to get out of there before. It was insane.
Oh, we didn't get up till 1 o'clock.
But no, it was loud. Shout out to
Jeremy.
Mike's brother.
We met with Jeremy. He's from Northwest Iowa. He hooked us up with a few tickets. So Jimmy, myself, and my wife went to the game. We had a lot of fun.
Sat with him. He just said he wanted somebody to be loud, and so we were loud.
I think we did a good job of that.
We did.
Yeah.
And people around us were all right.
Except for the few Michigan fans, it was fun. But no, let's before we talk about the actual game, part of the game, I want to start off just by talking about the dog shit refs that are apparently not against Nebraska. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we see evidence of it week after week after week, and you're gonna call a toss-up on a fumbled punt? You're not even going to review a fumbled punt? Are you serious?
Go Big Red from Hawaii. That's awesome.
Hawaii, what's up? I had a crush on Frost since you were 14. I love it.
Yeah, you and my wife and all of our friends, everybody.
Amy, that's awesome. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry we're a little hoarse today.
Check us out on Two Average Guys. Feel free to follow us on our Facebook and our Twitter as well.
And we didn't even drink.
No, we didn't.
Much worse.
Glad we didn't. But really, they called the... I guess Reimer was clapping at his teammates, and they said that we made him jump, so that was a delay of game on us. And then I mentioned the punt. This isn't basketball. You don't have a joint possession. You don't have a toss-up in football. That's not a thing. You have to go to review the play.
You can't say tie goes to the runner. I guess if that's the rule, then that's the rule, I guess. But in my opinion, somebody's got to win that. Whoever's got their hands on it more wins it. Yeah. I don't know, whatever you got to decide. You can't be, they both had their hands on it. You can say that on every single play.
Yeah.
Every single pile, anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of people said that, from what I was reading, a lot of people said Nebraska might have jumped on it first. Looks like we had full possession. And I think the rule states whoever has full possession, which I think we may have. But, again, it's hard to tell from the stadium. In intending to deceive, as Harbaugh said. Harbaugh bitched the entire game.
Yeah,
he was in those refs. He got his way every chance he got. He was yelling at those refs and right in their ear. And they let him do it. They just let him talk. Michigan's a good team. They're a good team.
They're probably better than they have been the last few years.
But they didn't need help, and they got help last night. The pass interference call, not pass interference.
No.
And that changed from a 6-0 at half to 13-0 at half.
There was 3 different people that I know. 2 I know that are Michigan fans that I actually personally know, and then 1 that's a friend of a friend that I kind of know. That all posted things about, wow, this is a great game with 2 really good teams, and Michigan's kind of getting the advantage here with the officiating, and I don't like to see that. They're let them play it out. And someone else is like, this is kind of BS. Some of breaks that Nebraska's, and I know Frost said we got to make our own breaks, but man, to a certain point, I mean, Adrian gets stopped, forward progress stopped, pile of people, no whistle blown, and then they get the ball and win the game.
And a couple of things with that. He needed to go down. I mean,
he could have gone down.
We got 3 minutes. We get the first down. Just go down. Get down to a knee. I mean, that's a veteran play where he does need to go down. Whether his progress was stopped, again, I agree. I think the refs in 99.9% of the time are going to blow the whistle.
Well, they did for Michigan right after.
Oh yeah, and so I think you have to take that into account, absolutely. But you also have to look, and Mark, you don't think we're close. I mean, I highly disagree. We'll get to that here in a second.
You haven't watched.
I don't think if people don't think we're close to
then you haven't been watching
doing better. I don't think you're watching football this year. But that's a veteran move. You got to go down. You got to get down to the ground. We have 3 minutes to go down and score, and we didn't do that. But let's talk about the first half in general. Our offense was just stagnant.
Runs up the middle again. I mean, I guess Mark, when you say no, we're not. I mean, in some ways, maybe we're not running the same play calls over and over again. But at the same time, we're close, and we are. And when we do open it up, things work. And I don't know if we just get stuck on running the ball to try to lure them to sleep and then go up over the top for a long touchdown. But it took too long to get going. Yeah,
when Frost said he wanted to try to establish the run game and try to run it often, and that's what we did. We did, and three. We'll get to that, Colter. 3-4 yards on a run, first down is not terrible, but the problem is when you do it over and over again on the first play every time. That's where it becomes a problem because we ran between the tackles. I told you multiple times during the game when we ran the ball outside. We were getting yards. We were able to beat them to the corners and get around the corners, and that worked well for us, and we just didn't do it enough.
And, I mean, not that the guy was very bright, but even that annoying Michigan kid in front of us, he was like, man, I don't know why you guys are running up the middle. If you kicked it outside, you'd be running all over us.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Colter, you say take the points. So on that first drive we go downfield. We have a chance to kick a field goal. It's 4th and 1. 3rd and 2, then 4th and 1. Hindsight's 20/20. You can go either way on that.
Yep.
In my opinion, I didn't like it at the time, but I think I didn't like it because we absolutely didn't score.
Well, and so I think I didn't get the exact quote from Adrian, but he said something along the lines of I wanted to score, we wanted to score.
Yeah.
If they would have scored a touchdown, that place would have gone
berserk.
Right, and the place was going berserk during most of the game anyway. That would have been. I mean, I don't blame them for going for it there.
No, I mean, you're playing a top 10 team.
Yeah.
You're 3-3.
Yeah.
But and we as the replay, if you watch the replay on that run, Adrian needed to cut it up about halfway to the pylon there. He needed to cut it up. He had the room to run, and also once he got to the edge, he kind of just ran out of bounds. I love Adrian, but I wanted to see more effort to try to push through and try to get that score. So. Yeah, you can say take the points, but again, if we scored, you would be like, wow, I'm glad we went for it. So, but I get it, because that 3 would have been nice. But again, after that drive, we didn't really have much after. I had a nice 43-yard pass to, I think Ramir got that one on that play.
Yeah. I mean, that was really the whole offense in the first half. We had 103 yards in the first quarter and ended the half with like 133. I mean, we didn't have much in the second quarter. But down 13 at half against a top 10 team, and by the end of the third quarter, we're winning that game. That's, to me, shows progress anyway. Teams in the past would have folded over and we would have lost by 35 plus.
Yeah, I mean, our defense was fantastic again.
Yeah, I mean, they probably didn't have their best game, but that was probably the best team that they'd gone against.
Yeah,
they were able to run the ball more than really anybody has so far,
but not as easy as they have against other teams.
No, not as easy as they have against other teams, but you know,
their little tight end check down worked really well.
And that was another thing. They kind of figured out. They watched plenty of film over these last few weeks and figured out, you know, a few holes or leaks in that defense that's been really good, and they kind of exploited it. That led to a couple of their scores. But going back to what you're talking about, I mean, 10 points at least just given away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would love for the refs to one of these games. In the last 4 games, I've seen multiple runs either up the middle or just to the outside where Hendrick is being held. I mean, it's a clear as day. They got their arm up around, they're holding the right side, and their entire arm is draped around them. It's
Henrik, I mean,
these guys are getting pressure.
They are, and they're getting held like every play.
And we're just not seeing those holding calls. And I don't know what to do to change. I mean, there's nothing you can do to change it because it's right in front of the refs and not calling it.
Yeah.
And they can see it and they're not calling it. And that's probably the most frustrating thing is everybody sees it on TV. And they're watching it, and even the Big Ten said something about the disconcerting signals. The Big Ten Network posted something on Twitter, and then they had to delete it because they're like, disconcerting signals, that's a new one. I mean, it is. Like, I've never heard someone say disconcerting signals. It just doesn't make sense. And I think
I've never seen a joint possession call either.
No, I've never seen either of those things happen. So, I've seen the delay a game on defense for clapping or whatever, but not called disconcerting signals. It just was kind of weird, but... Again, refs aside, we did not, we didn't score in the first half.
Right, and I mean, I'm not by any means saying that the officials cost us the game, but
they didn't help. They didn't help.
They helped Michigan. Sure. But yeah, I mean, 0 points in the first half. I mean, you can't really expect to win a game, but again, we took 2 different leads on them. A team that hadn't trailed at any point all season. Again. No more victories for me by any means, but
again,
and it was fun.
Yeah,
it was actually really fun.
Yeah,
really fun to be there. Really fun game. Ups and downs. I mean, even the Michigan fans are like, man, you know, as much as we like a blowout, that game was like really fun because you know it was back and forth and you know a lot of good athletes on both sides.
Well, and it was a primetime game too. I mean, that was a game where we're showing everybody like, hey, when people say we're the best at that point 3-loss, now 4-loss team in the country, I mean, if you're not seeing the improvement from Nebraska from what we saw last year, the year before, I mean, we are seeing drastic improvement on both sides of the ball. Again, our offense, I'd like to see more, of course. We're still very young on the offensive side compared to the defensive side.
Well, and Teddy went down, and we had to go back to our, previous O-line. Which is fine. I mean,
I don't think it hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it hurt us, but it didn't help. They were better than, I guess, that group was better than they had been in previous weeks.
Yeah.
So I guess. But
our team, they did their job. Our offensive side of the ball.
It's Coke Zero. Coke Zero sugar.
Our defensive side of the ball. I mean, we played a hell of a good game. And again, we played Michigan. Last time we played Michigan, I think they whooped us by like 60 points.
At least 50.
And now we've played 3 top 10 teams, and in every game, 13 points total between those 3 games we've lost. 13 points. 13 points. 3 top 10 teams, and we're a 4-loss team right now. The difference in those games is finding a way to win. Or not lose, however you want to put it, because a couple times we have shot ourselves in the foot, but we have to get over that hump, we got to find a way to win the game. That 3-minute drive, that was our chance to go down and score and win the game.
Well, and we actually had 2 chances because Adrian fumbled and they got a field goal. And I know we were out of timeouts, but we still had a chance to get into field goal range. First play goes 25 yards to Toure to the 50.
Yep.
And I looked at you and I said, we're going to score a touchdown and win.
Yeah.
And then
didn't happen.
We had a couple really bad plays, or really, whatever, broken plays, whatever you want to say.
So yeah, huge progress, like Mark is saying, huge progress. We still have 2 top 10 teams. We still have Iowa, and we still have Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to beat Michigan. The reason why they're going to beat Michigan is because their D-backs are not a strong suit. It's their defensive line. Their defensive line and the linebackers is where Michigan's strength is on defense. Their D-backs, we could have thrown deep on them probably all day because they couldn't keep up with the wide receivers.
Yeah. And
we didn't have Betts on the field, which I really wish we did.
We didn't have Betts on the field much, and like I said, when we did, they had like 5 guys paying attention to him.
Yep.
And that, even if you're not going to throw the ball to him, get him the ball a few times, whether it's an end around, an option, a pass, and then you got 4 or 5 guys paying attention to him, and Allen slips up the middle, which, I mean, saw happen, so, I don't know. He needs to be on the field.
We saw a lot of Omar. We saw a lot of Toure out there. We saw a lot of Levi Falk, which we've talked about him once. He's like, Husker fans don't want to see me on the field, but I mean, he played a really good game.
Husker fans don't want me to be good, but people were pretty happy that he was good last night when that touchdown that he caught. And he had a pretty solid block that one time. You said, who was that? And I was like, that was Falk.
That was Falk, yeah.
And you said he did a really good job of just getting in position and standing there instead of blowing the guy out.
Yeah, he could have had a 15-yard penalty for
He could have had a sweet block that would have gotten a penalty.
Kenny Bell-esque.
Or he could have just stood there and get a block and no penalty. And that's what he did. It was nice.
Yeah, and like Ryan said, a lot of damn good football. I mean, it really was. Again, that first half is the concerning side to me on our offense. It's still our offense. Our offense, I think, has been a concerning part of the season so far. Is we're not hitting the ground running, and when we do, we kind of falter once we get into the red zone. And we got to go over that hump and start winning these games, start scoring more touchdowns, and still Dan Brown Colt. I mean, Colt was in there. He's gaining confidence, which is always good. And I was confident if we got down there for a field goal, he was going to make it.
Me too. Well, and you said that the offense kind of stalls out in the red zone and whatever, but we were down with no points in the first half, and we took the lead twice in the end of the third and fourth quarter. Like, that's a lot better than we have been in a long time. Like, that would never happen.
Yep. Again, we're not getting blown out by top 10 teams, which we have been for however many years now by the Ohio States. And, everyone thought we were going to get blown out by Oklahoma. Everyone thought we were going to get blown out by Michigan State. And Michigan, guess what? It's not happening. We are playing really good football.
Yeah.
There's just one final step we have to take to get over that hump, and we're not making it happen yet. But we are right there. And again, as Jimmy said, no moral victories. We've said it the last few weeks. The other two top 10 teams that we lost to, no moral victories. But again, it's not a moral victory when you are seeing that progress on the field. You have to be proud of that. You have to say, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what people have been calling for. Guess what? Scott Frost's seat is ice cold right now. There is no heat coming from his ass.
Well,
zero.
And probably one of the biggest factors of that is, I mean, that place was packed last night, and it was loud.
87,384, I think.
There's no, are we going to lose the sellout streak this week? That's not the case right now, because the games are fun.
And people see the progress.
Yeah.
Not just fans, not just even the most optimistic and most over excited and drinking all the Kool-Aid fans. I mean, I'm talking about, like, the media is seeing it. The media is saying this is a good team. They are not, that 4 losses is not a 4-loss team. Even one of my friend Brett, he dogs on Nebraska all the time. He's a fan, but he dogs on them. He's like, yeah, we suck, this and that. But last night he said, that 13-0 at half, even if you don't score points, it should have been 6-0 because they gave them, and they gave him, it wasn't even what they call it, a spot foul or something, or they gave him 15 yards. What did they give on that?
So Doman got the penalty for pass interference, which everybody in the stadium during the game, walking out after the game, was complaining about it because the guy quit his route and Doman just stopped running.
And it was way overthrown.
And they were just standing there, and then it went like back corner of the end zone, out of the end zone, whatever it was. And they called it, and then they didn't even put it. I don't even think they did it half the distance. I did think they did a full 15, and it didn't happen in the end zone. It was out of the end zone. If it was in the end zone, then it's at the 2 or whatever. It wasn't. So they
placed it at the 3-yard line.
They placed it in an incorrect spot. So there was just all kinds of things that didn't go right with that.
I mean, the refs reviewed a lot of things, but they. Oh, and then it took forever for them to get like all touchdowns are reviewed, every touchdown.
Right.
Yet it took forever for them to review the touchdown that they called for Penn State that eventually ended up being a field goal because the knee of the quarterback hit McNamara hit the ground.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan. It hit his knee hit the ground before they handed the ball off. But it took forever to even get that replay, and then Frost is yelling at the refs, probably saying, "You review every touchdown. Why are you not reviewing this?"
Well, and the crowd got a little rowdy when, was clapping, whatever, when Frost got his turn to, kind of get in the ref's ear because, man, everything they were calling was against us. And Harbaugh was just barking at him and getting all the time in the world he wanted. So,
yep. hey, we're gonna call a timeout. We're gonna get a delayed game. We're gonna throw a flag, and then after 5 minutes of a TV timeout, then we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna review the previous play, and then we're gonna give you the first down,
and then give you your timeout back.
And give you a timeout back, which they needed that timeout to get their final points.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed that timeout.
I still didn't understand how they could give them that timeout back.
That made zero sense.
Because they got a delay of game, which would have then sent the ball to us, but instead we got the penalty, so then they got a first down. It just didn't make any sense.
Well, they called illegal formation on us once on 2 different plays. On 2 different plays, Michigan once they called illegal formation. They picked up the flag, said it was not illegal formation. It was. They had 5 guys in the backfield.
Right.
Illegal formation. People, I mean, you watch the game and just go on Twitter. People have still shots of these plays. Illegal formation. It was. And then one of their touchdowns, the clock was at 0. It was delay game. The play clock was at 0. It was delay game, and they were still allowed to run the play. Again, you can't say, you can blame the refs all you want for the loss, but no, did we lose because of them? Absolutely not. But did the refs tend to help Michigan a little bit more? Absolutely. I mean, there were plays that went their way, and again, you're talking about 6-0 at half, 13-0 at half. That's a whole different ball game. 6-0 at half, we come out, we score. Now it's 7-6. We got the lead at the very beginning of the third quarter. That's a very different momentum swing going in at half. Letting them, they score a touchdown. It's like, oh shit! All right, now we're down by 2 scores rather than being down by 1 score. It's a big difference.
Well, and did you see that Harbaugh was too amped up to do a 30-second interview on the field with ESPN? He shunned the reporter.
No, he's a dick. He's one of the biggest douchebags in college football. I put him right next to God, who's another one of these favorite coaches. Oh, I actually don't like Allen either from Indiana, but he's actually, I think, a nice guy. I just don't like him. But I just, Harbaugh can bitch and complain all he wants. He knows he shouldn't have won that game. They got lucky. It sucks. You're not going to change my mind. They got lucky. We should have won that game.
Yeah.
And they got all the calls to go their way, and it sucks. But I'm just proud of this team, though. I mean, the team just fights and fights and fights, and no matter how many crap calls, doesn't matter. They just keep fighting. They keep playing. Yeah. The defense keeps going. The offense goes out. It just keeps going.
For sure.
And that's what is. We have not seen that type of football from Huskers in years. A lot of years.
No, I've said that to a couple different people. I was like, man, being there it was a different feel.
Yeah, I mean, there was
even from the last game that we went to, it felt different.
Totally.
The fan base felt different. The stadium was rocking like it used to. The team just looks so much different, so much better.
Well, and Frost said post game, he talked about trying to establish a run game, and they asked about the 2-minute drills with 3 minutes left in the game, but he asked about that. He's like, you got the ball, 3 minutes left. What's going through your mind? And he said, he goes, not once did it go through the minds of any of these guys, any of these coaches, and I hope not the fan base that there was no doubt that we were going to outscore.
Like, it wasn't, what can we do wrong? Which, yes, we did do something wrong and lost the game, but
it wasn't what's going to happen.
I wasn't feeling that way either.
Oh, yeah, we're like, all right, game, let's go.
I was thinking, that was the farthest thing from my mind, was that something like that was going to happen. When it did, we were so upset that they didn't blow the whistle that we're like, well, they're going to have to go back on that. And obviously they didn't or couldn't. I don't know what the rule is, but it hurt.
Yeah, that hurt. I mean, it just immediately just sunk. And then again, the fan base was just freaking really loud right after that. Again, they were back on their feet. They were ready to go, ready to be loud, and still had hope in this team, and think that they could still get the ball back and win.
We even got it was a sack. They brought number 9 in,
and we used our third timeout after that. 7-yard loss.
Sacked them. Was it Reimer? I can't remember who it was, but we got in there, and then it pushed their field goal attempt back. So we're like, man, they miss this field goal. We go down and kick field goal and win. Yep. It wasn't, they're gonna make a field goal and then we're not gonna be able to move the ball. Yeah, that would have been me like a month ago.
Yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of Husker fans out there that had that deflated feel like, game over. But I think the sound of the stadium. I mean, I don't think there was a quiet Husker fan who thought we're not gonna win this game. Even when we had no timeouts, minute 24 left or minute 30, whatever, go down, we're going to win this game. Like, I don't know if anybody thought that we were just going to screw it up.
Especially after that first pass to Torrey to the 50.
Yep. So again, I'm proud of this team. They are fighting. They're improving. We have Minnesota, Purdue, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa left on the schedule.
We'll win 3 of those.
I have no doubt we can win 3 of those.
Well, I have no doubt that we can. We need to.
It's getting over that hump. We're going to be one of those 2 ranked teams. We're going to be Ohio State or we're going to be Iowa. Here's my thing. Iowa, the strength of their team is their defense.
Right.
Their offense is not good. If you can get up on them, you're going to win that game because they cannot come back and win those games. Now, yesterday, a different story because Sean Clifford actually got taken out. He got hurt, so he didn't play the entire game. He didn't play the entire first half. So that hurt Penn State. I thought Penn State was controlling the game up to that point. Then he's out, and that changed the momentum of the game a little bit. And that backup quarterback, he didn't play bad, but he's not as good as Sean Clifford is. And I think that changed the game.
It certainly did. I mean, Iowa obviously is a turnover machine on defense, and that has pretty much been the reason that they won.
But how sweet,
most of their games. But
how sweet is it gonna be when Iowa is in maybe even the top 5, coming into their last game against the season, playing Nebraska, and we beat them? How sweet is that gonna be?
It'll be sweeter if we go.
It would be sweeter if we go. Anybody? Bueller? Got tickets?
Got tickets?
That'd be awesome. I would love to see it. That'd just be. I don't even care if that's our 4th win of the season. If we knock Iowa, it's not going to be. I still think Minnesota, Purdue are wins, but whether it's our 6th or 7th win, we're going bowling. We're gonna get there, guys. Hang on. We've seen the improvement. We're gonna win at least 3 of our next 4. We got this.
All right. Matt says we got this.
Oh, Ryan, he's coming to the Husker game. There you go. Coming in from Florida. There you go. Awesome.
Nice.
That'll be fun, Ryan. So yeah, I hope that Husker Nation just don't give up on these guys.
Yeah, because they're not giving up.
Don't give up on them. They're playing
It
their
was
hearts
easy.
out.
I guess it was kind of easy to give up on them when the guys were giving up, but they're not giving up now.
They're not giving up, and they're not giving up over Frost. The coaches believe in them. They believe in their coaches. And to me, that's all we need. We just need to stay there, keep going to these games, keep fighting, keep yelling, keep supporting these kids. Don't trash talk them on social media. Adrian's got the biggest heart out of all of them. He knows what happened yesterday. He's not happy about it.
Shit, even when we're walking out of the stadium, there's people that are like, yeah, my dad texted me and I just said Adrian sucks. I mean,
yeah.
It's easy to say after, a fumble that turns into a field goal, the game-winning field goal, but
yeah. On Ryan said, see more heart the last 3 weeks than the last 3 years. Absolutely. I mean, that we could have taken that Illinois loss at the beginning of the season and just gone downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that would define our season, and it didn't. I mean, we've gotten better and better and better. If we played Illinois now, we'd blank them. They wouldn't score. They wouldn't score.
They lost 24-0 at home against Wisconsin yesterday.
And Wisconsin's not good.
And maybe I shouldn't say that game did define it, but maybe that transformed the team.
Transformed. I like it. I like that.
Get a little tighter and say, screw this. Like, let's bond together and do something.
And we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Jim. We talked about that defensive unit and how there seems to be a different connection on the defensive unit than the offensive unit. There seems to be someone bringing that team together where there's better continuity there. I'm starting to see that more on the offense now. On both sides of the ball, but the defense is still there. But we didn't have that on the offense. I'm starting to see it more. I think that belief is there. And I think that continuity is coming back to the offense to where they believe every game, hey, we can score, we can win, we're going to do this. And again, kind of like Ryan said, I don't think I've seen that over the past few years where that confidence was there. And they're confident. They are ready to win these games and just need one more push.
No, I probably haven't seen confidence in a team like this since probably Bo Pelini.
Yeah.
And even then, we'd have that big game, and we didn't show up those games.
We
didn't have that confidence those games.
We couldn't compete with ranked teams.
I feel like we got scared in those games, and then it just, went all downhill from there and just snowballed.
Yep.
But no, it doesn't have that same feeling anymore.
Yeah, we're not playing scared anymore. These Huskers are ready to win. They're ready to get to that next step, and it's just that we need something to go our way. We need a call to go our way.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, that pass that he had to Levi Falk, I thought it was intercepted, and the guy tipped it right
Oh,
into his hands.
to Martin?
Yeah, or to Martin, sorry. I don't know how Oliver Martin caught that ball, the concentration. I mean, it wasn't a bad pass. It was really good defensive play.
From where we were sitting, I was like, that's an interception. And then the crowd went crazy, and then you see Martin going forward, and I was like, I gotta look at that on the big screen because I have no idea what happened there.
The crowd went silent, like dead silent for a hot second, and then just erupted.
Except for the Michigan fans right by us, they were all like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "What?"
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yeah.
So again, there's still so many bright spots on this team, and I love this team to death, going through my entire life, and
yeah,
we're right there. We are right there, and I hope everyone else sees it like we do. And
I know a lot of people do, and I know there's a fair amount of people that don't, and that's fine. I mean, if you just want to be miserable all the time, then we've been there for long enough.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you just take a step forward?
Yeah, misery. It's not fun. Losing is not fun, and again, we've kind of been used to it for a while now, the losing side, but.
Right.
We've also been so competitive in these games that we haven't seen in so long, which makes the loss probably that much harder to take. Because we're so competitive, and again, 3 ranked opponents, 13 points. That's hard to swallow. In a blowout, at least halfway through the game, like, shit, all right, we lost.
Well, and especially these teams, and, obviously Oklahoma's still undefeated, and they came back and beat Texas, and it was a crazy game. It was a very fun game, actually. But even they're still figuring out ways to barely beat teams. They've been, they barely beat us, and they barely beat West Virginia and Kansas State, and then they come back and barely beat Texas. But they're still winning. Michigan State's still winning. These teams, all 3 of those teams are undefeated.
And again, that's what we're not doing. Is just that next step.
We never led Oklahoma, but we led Michigan and Michigan State.
Yep. So
with very, very high probability of winning the game, and lost both. So,
well, and it was a 3-point spread. They beat us by 3 points. This team again. If we're on a 3-point spread against the undefeated Michigan when we're 3-3, what does that tell everybody?
I even saw it at 2.5.
Yeah,
maybe even down to
open up as 1. So. Yeah, I got a lot of faith in this team moving forward. I see a lot of good things happening. We're going to get to a bowl game this year. This team's got a lot of upside.
Well, and if we do, I sure hope that they put us against an 8-4 team that had a fairly decent season, maybe an SEC team or something that we could beat.
Done it before.
That'd be awesome.
By the way, down goes Bama. Always love.
Yeah, we were walking out of the stadium stuck in
walking traffic.
A million people, and some guy says, "Bama lost." We're like, "No, they didn't." And then some girl came running up and she's like, "Oh, Bama lost," and everybody went nuts. And the guy was like, "What?
Yeah.
I said that like 2 minutes ago. No one reacted."
Yeah, it's because it was a girl.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a bright side of yesterday, that's I guess the bright side. But all right, I don't got much else, guys. That was it's hard. We're tired today. It was a long day, long night.
I actually had more of a voice than I thought I
would. We're right there. Hang with them. Hang tight.
Yeah.
Next week we got Minnesota. Then we got Purdue. Let's go win back-to-back games before we play Ohio State.
Well, we got Minnesota, then we got a bye.
Oh, Minnesota, then we got a bye. We get to relax for a weekend and hope other teams lose. And then we get to go beat Purdue after that.
Yes.
Okay, I like it. All right, guys, take it easy. For those of you commenting today, thank you. Hawaii, represent.
Yeah,
thank you.
Florida.
Y'all have a great day. And, I don't know, we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for coming in.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're two average guys. Peace.